Hubo una vez en que la gente tenía que soportar grandes multitudes y largas filas solo para comprar un regalo o adquirir unos vegetales. Hoy todo esto puede hacerlo desde su casa con solo teclear en su computadora. En los últimos 10 años, la computadora personal se ha transformado en una entrada al mercado global, donde se puede comprar casi cualquier cosa. A la vanguardia de esta revolución del teclado se encuentra el empresario Jeff Bezos.
Welcome, everybody.
Nacido el 12 de enero de 1964 en Albuquerque, Nuevo México, Jeff fue un chico vivaz y feliz, quien desde muy temprano mostró signos de ser excepcionalmente brillante.
I remember taking him to a kiddie park when he was about 2.5 years old and putting him on the boats. And the first pass by, he was doing much what everybody else was doing. He was waving and saying, "Hi, Mommy." But by about the second or third pass, I had lost his attention. I couldn't get him to wave at me because he was following the pulleys up to make sure that he could figure out what was driving the boats.
Como su madre pronto descubriría, el pequeño Jeff también tenía una forma de proceder muy independiente. Apenas tenía 3 años cuando lo encontró tratando de abrir la cuna con un destornillador para así poder dormir en una verdadera cama. Si bien esta muestra de independencia podría haber alarmado a otras madres, la misma Jackie Bezos es una mujer empecinada. Contaba con apenas 17 años cuando tuvo a Jeff. Se había casado mientras cursaba la secundaria, pero se divorció a los 18 meses. Luego de que el padre de Jeff la abandonara, Jackie empezó a salir con Mike Bezos, un laborioso inmigrante cubano, estudiante de ingeniería. Jackie y Mike se casaron en abril de 1968 y Mike adoptó a Jeff, quien ya tenía 4 años. Desde entonces, Jeff ha considerado a Mike su padre e incluso hoy no tiene ningún interés en su padre biológico.
The only time it ever comes up as a thought is when I fill out one of those forms in the doctor's office and they ask me, for your medical history on your father's side, and I have to write, I don't know my medical history on my father's side. But that's the only issue.
Algunos de los recuerdos predilectos de la infancia de Jeff están relacionados con los veranos que pasaba en el rancho ganadero de 10,000 hectáreas de su abuelo, en Cotulla, Texas. Lawrence Guys, o Pops, como lo llamaba la familia, había sido director de la Comisión de Energía Atómica. Él se convirtió en mentor de Jeff e incentivó su interés en la ciencia y la mecánica.
We did everything together, and just the two of us. We would fix windmills and repair fences and work the cattle, vaccinate them, and so on. And it really was an incredible experience. And I think you learn a lot out on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. One of the things I think I learned from my grandfather is a kind of self-reliance.
My dad always said that obstacles are only obstacles if you think they're obstacles, otherwise they're opportunities. And I think Jeff took that to heart.
Para 1970, Jeff tenía 2 hermanos, Cristina, que era 5 años menor que él, y Mark, 6 años menor, quien dice que a pesar de los veranos que pasó en el rancho, Jeff nunca tuvo inclinaciones atléticas.
Once he got off of the ranch, it was all about, science fairs and science fiction and, math and that sort of thing. So I think to anybody who didn't see him on the ranch, he would certainly have been classified as a nerd.
Jeff, a quien siempre le fascinaron las computadoras, tenía 10 años cuando él y sus amigos se encontraron una de verdad en su escuela.
It was actually a teletype connected to a mainframe. There were no PCs. This was in 1974. We found out that there was a Star Trek game programmed onto the mainframe, pre-programmed onto it, and then we never did anything with the computer except play Star Trek.
Cuando no estaba buscando las naves Klingon en la computadora, Jeff pasaba gran parte del tiempo trabajando en proyectos científicos en el garaje de su casa.
He was always building things like Inspector Gadget.
Being a solar cooker.
I don't think we ever ate anything out of the solar cooker.
A hovercraft.
An alarm that he attached to his bedroom door.
And then there was a robot.
Lasers in the garage.
There was always something going on.
It was always an adventure.
Para 1982, la familia Bezos se había mudado a Miami, Florida, donde Jeff asistió a la escuela secundaria. Jeff, quien era un exitoso competidor, tomó todos los cursos avanzados y siempre obtuvo la calificación máxima.
He was in every honor society in high school. He was probably an officer of
most of them. He always had a science project going. He never skipped school, and the one time he was caught skipping school, he was working on his science fair project.
Bezos fue un estudiante tan sobresaliente que casi 20 años más tarde, sus profesores de secundaria todavía comentan lo listo que era.
Jeff was extremely conscientious, extremely intelligent.
He could see things other students never could see or never will ever see.
Yeah, his mind worked 90 miles an hour at all times.
Aunque no sorprende que a los profesores les agradara un superdotado como Bezos, lo que sí sorprende es que fuera muy querido por sus compañeros, quienes lo recuerdan como un chico amistoso y curioso quien siempre estaba riéndose.
When classes were changing in high school and there were 1,100 people in the hallway, you knew where Jeff was.
Si bien su personalidad de naturaleza exuberante le ganó muchos amigos, Jeff nunca fue exactamente lo que llamaríamos un rompecorazones.
High school, I think, is an incredibly awkward time for most people as regards, romance. And for me, it was ultra awkward. I was not the kind of person that women quickly warmed to. In fact, I've always considered myself the sort of person that sort of has to grow on people.
Bezos sí se las arregló para conseguir algunas citas en la escuela secundaria, pero nunca dejó que las mujeres lo distrajeran de sus objetivos académicos.
He decided earlier on that he wanted to be number one in the class. He wanted to be the valedictorian. And when Jeff decided it was going to be him, the people who also thought, well, maybe I'll be valedictorian, decided, nah, I won't even try to do that. I'll try to be number 2 in the class.
Como era de esperarse, Jeff Bezos se graduó como el número 1 de su clase con un promedio perfecto de 4 puntos. En 1982, Jeff ingresó a la Universidad de Princeton, donde tenía pensado graduarse en física, pero para el segundo año decidió concentrarse en ingeniería eléctrica y computación. En ese momento, las computadoras eran el nuevo campo en boga para universitarios ambiciosos. Y nadie tenía más ansias de triunfar que Jeff Bezos, quien se graduó en Princeton summa cum laude de la hermandad Pi Beta Kappa. A los 22 años, este joven especialista en computadoras estaba desesperado por ingresar al mercado de trabajo donde podría explorar la nueva frontera de la alta tecnología. En los Estados Unidos, en los 80, la industria de la computación estaba en auge. Se producían modelos más rápidos, más económicos y más poderosos a cada momento. Aunque Internet aún estaba en pañales, para 1986, 1 de cada 10 hogares poseía una computadora. La oportunidad no podía haber sido mejor para que Jeff Bezos, un joven y ambicioso experto en computación recién graduado, iniciara su carrera profesional en las finanzas de la alta tecnología. Obtuvo su primer empleo en Nueva York, en Fitel, una compañía financiera de comercio internacional.
I had a feeling that from the beginning that he could just do anything he wanted. Other people are saying, no, it cannot be, I'm not sure, and they have big existential doubts about, can you possibly do something? Is it so obvious as that? He doesn't get involved in that, he just does it.
Bezos también fue visto como una estrella en ascenso en D.E. Shaw & Company, una firma de inversiones de Nueva York, a la que se incorporó en 1990. Su trabajo consistía en buscar nuevas oportunidades en negocios vinculados a la computación.
Jeff is never afraid to think very big and say, well, this seems crazy, and in fact, many of Jeff's ideas are prefaced by, this is probably a crazy idea, and he comes up with great ideas.
Bezos, quien fue ascendido a primer vicepresidente en solo 2 años, decidió que a sus 28 años era la hora de buscar una novia. Un proyecto que abordó de una manera típicamente metódica.
He did all sorts of interesting things to meet girls. He signed up for some cotillion class. They give a ball and you learn a silly dance. And he was going to meet girls that way. I believe he learned the dance. I know he did not find the girl.
Bezos comenzaba a frustrarse cuando una joven graduada en Princeton, llamada Mackenzie Tuttle, ingresó al personal de The Show.
He hired this assistant and she was really working out great, and time goes by and then he starts saying, you know, I think I'm having a moral dilemma because I really don't think I should date my assistant and I really want to date my assistant.
I fell in love with her, but I was, you know, worried about sexual harassment and all sorts of things, so I was like, I wasn't going to do anything. And then finally, you know, she kind of broached the subject with me, and really within about probably 9 months of that, we were married.
Jeff y Mackenzie se casaron en una sencilla ceremonia el 4 de septiembre de 1993. Creada originalmente para el Departamento de Defensa de Estados Unidos, la Internet había sido abierta al público hacía poco tiempo. Al principio, la gente solía enviar correos electrónicos y revisar bases de datos, pero Bezos pensó que era solo cuestión de tiempo antes de que también se usara para vender productos. Hoy no parece una idea muy radical, pero en aquel momento las ventas al por menor en la red eran un concepto novedoso.
People really forget how primitive the internet was in 1994. There weren't a huge number of people connected to the internet through the web. It wasn't the mass market phenomenon that it is now. It wasn't dominating press coverage like it does now. It was still just at the earliest stages.
Bezos vio la oportunidad de ser un pionero de las ventas al por menor, pero ¿qué productos la gente estaría más inclinada a comprar en la red? Después de algunas investigaciones, se decidió por libros, un producto catalogado en forma exhaustiva y fácil de despachar.
Books are the only product where there are millions of different items, and that's one of the things you have as an advantage online. You have infinite shelf space.
Para ganarles a todas las grandes cadenas de librerías, las cuales todavía no estaban en la red, Bezos sabía que tenía que moverse con rapidez. Llamó a sus padres y después de explicarles lo que era la Internet, le dieron $300,000 para que empezara.
It sounds almost flippant to say that, you know, oh yes, Jeff, here's our savings, right? and have it. It wasn't that simple, but we did not have to spend a lot of time thinking about if we were going to put it to some use. This was it.
The investment was not in Amazon, a yet unnamed company. The investment was in Jeff, and we had made a lifetime of investments in Jeff.
Semana del 4 de julio de 1994, Jeff y Mackenzie empacaron sus pertenencias y se dirigen al oeste, sin saber cuál será su destino final. Mientras Mackenzie conducía, Jeff escribía un plan de negocios en su computadora portátil. Decidió llamar a su nueva compañía Amazon.com, un nombre que sugería gran tamaño y selección. También se decidió por Seattle, una ciudad donde él sabía que encontraría empleados conocedores de computadoras. Cuando llegaron a Seattle, Jeff y Mackenzie alquilaron una casa de 2 habitaciones, donde Amazon se inició, en forma lo suficientemente apropiada, en el garaje. Pero si bien el garaje familiar había sido un estupendo taller de trabajo, no era el mejor lugar para lanzar una compañía de alta tecnología.
And I figured out why people move out of garages, I think, at least if they're computer companies. It's not because they run out of room for people first, it's because they run out of electric power.
You could not flip an extra light switch without blowing everything. When we were staying there, I turned on the hairdryer and I heard these screams from the garage, "Turn off the hairdryer! Turn off the hairdryer! You're blowing the fuses!"
Temiendo que el garaje desalentara a potenciales empleados, Bezos los entrevistaba nada más y nada menos que en Barnes & Noble, en el centro de la ciudad. Poco se imaginaba este gigante de las ventas de libros que ese joven que reía escandalosamente en una esquina estaba a punto de convertirse en su peor pesadilla. Junio de 1995, el primer sitio web de Amazon estaba a punto de ser probado. Jeff y su equipo se habían esmerado en hacerlo tan grato al usuario como fuera posible.
What that team was able to do is create a very, very simple site. That was what was Amazon's genius when you first went to it. It was simple. And with everything they added, they kept the idea of simplicity on the front burner.
Para el periodo de pruebas, Bezos y sus colegas habían invitado a sus familiares y amigos a usar el sitio. Solo por diversión habían programado la computadora para que sonara una campana cada vez que entrara una orden de compra.
At first that was interesting, but within about maybe 10, not even 10 days, I think it might have been as little as a week, the bell was ringing often enough that it was distracting, and so we had to deprogram it.
16 de julio de 1995, Amazon.com abre su sitio al público. Y teniendo como única publicidad los comentarios de la gente, en 30 días tenían órdenes que entraban de todas partes del mundo.
When Amazon.com took off, and it took off in a way that we never expected. I have to tell you right now, I am the most surprised person on the planet. If you look at our initial business plan, it calls for basically no orders. I think that the thing that I overlooked is that all of those early people on the internet in 1995 were early adopters. They're the kind of people who try everything first.
Para estar a la par con la creciente demanda, Amazon se mudó a una sede mayor a comienzos de 1996 y comenzó a construir centros de distribución en Seattle, Delaware y Nevada. Y a medida que aumentaban las ventas de Amazon de alrededor de $500,000 en 1995 a 15.7 millones en 1996, el mundo de los negocios comenzó a tomar nota. Entre aquellos que notaron el éxito de Amazon, había competidores como Barnes & Noble, el cual anunció a comienzos de 1997 sus propios planes de entrar en la red. De repente, las perspectivas de Amazon parecían algo menos brillantes.
The critics, I think, very thoughtfully said, look, it's been a great honeymoon. This is a long time ago, but the fun is over. They're Amazon.toast. And of course, that's not what happened.
A pesar de su empuje, BarnesandNoble.com nunca ha logrado superar las ventas de Amazon.com.
If you look at the internet, the really interesting thing is no old line company, and I don't care if it's a book-selling company like Barnes & Noble or a media company like Time Warner, no big companies have been outright successes on the internet because they have old line businesses that they have to support. And when they come online, their strength is their brand name, but they're really not always able to leverage that brand name into something that's successful.
Para finales de 1998, Amazon no solo había sobrevivido la embestida de un competidor de importancia, sino que sus ventas estaban mejor que nunca. La compañía que Jeff Bezos empezó en su garaje se encaminaba a convertirse en una empresa multimillonaria. La sede de Amazon.com es un inmenso edificio Art Deco situado en la cima de una colina en el centro de Seattle. Dentro, la atmósfera es, como en muchos sitios de Internet, muy informal. Uno camina por los salones y tiene la sensación de que se encuentra en un dormitorio de estudiantes, perros vagando por los pasillos. Pocas personas tienen más de 35 años. Los elevadores son lugares donde la gente se puede expresar. Y al centro de todo esto se encuentra el intrépido líder de Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos. A pesar de que a veces parece más un chico grande que un alto ejecutivo, en solo 3 años Bezos tomó un pequeño sitio web y lo transformó en la mayor librería del mundo. Y entonces, en 1998, inició una nueva búsqueda: construir la mayor tienda de la Tierra. Desde 1998, Amazon.com ha agregado a su catálogo más de 18 millones de productos, desde discos compactos a juguetes Pokémon. La compañía también ha invertido en una serie de otros sitios web, incluyendo Peps.com y Drugstore.com. Al principio, Wall Street sonreía ante el crecimiento de Amazon y valoraba la compañía en unos $25 millardos. Algunos dicen que esta altísima estimación es ridícula, ya que la compañía aún no ha generado ganancias.
Amazon is stupendously overvalued on the basis of all known standard parameters of securities analysis. Without a profit at all, it's impossible to say just how overvalued is overvalued. You're left saying, very. It's really overvalued.
Pero Bezos argumenta que las pérdidas de Amazon son parte de su estrategia para construir una marca poderosa, basada primero en el servicio al cliente para después preocuparse por las ganancias.
We are a famously unprofitable company, and that is a conscious strategy. What we're trying to do is, during this critical time, when new customers are coming online every day, they're forming their very first relationships, they're even learning what e-commerce means. During this critical time, we think it would be short-sighted not to invest.
Jeff early on made the bet that we will lose money to keep customers happy. And for financial analysts, that was somewhat inconsistent with the way other people run their business. So it was and continues to be a very brave bet.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and search by the author through our advanced search.
Desde el día en que Amazon apareció por primera vez en la red, Bezos ha subrayado la importancia de proveer un servicio de calidad al cliente. Desde su punto de vista, esa no es solo la clave para hacer lucrativa a Amazon, sino que también es parte de su gran plan para cambiar el negocio de los minoristas.
Our mission is to, first and foremost, build Earth's most customer-centric company. One of the things we want to do is be known so strongly for customer obsession that other industries sort of take our example. If we can do that, we will have accomplished something bigger than anything we could accomplish as a company.
Carry on our site.
Si hablamos con cualquiera que trabaje en Amazon, nos queda claro que han asumido la misión de Bezos al punto de que incluso repiten sus consignas.
Amazon.com is building, first and foremost, the world's most customer-centric company.
If we do the right thing for the customer, if we listen to the customer, if we take our direction from the customer.
Our customer service is the best in the industry.
We're very focused at our company on serving our customers.
And, by the way, don't forget, focus on the customer and focus on them every single day.
Hey guys,
Se dice que los empleados que no adoptan el credo del consumidor de Bezos no duran mucho en Amazon.com.
I hope I get to see some new mock-ups. Yes. All right.
Oh, mock-ups.
Internally, it's Jeff's party. He's always right, and I think that happens with a lot of the internet people, is that internally, what he says goes, and it's his party. He owns 40% of the company, or whatever amount he owns.
Yeah, the usual.
And therefore, you know what? I'm pleased to hear your opinion, but this is the way we're going to go.
This is a heavy
user experience.
Pero si se le señala a Bezos que existe una especie de culto en Amazon, él sencillamente se ríe.
We're not like mixing batches of Kool-Aid or anything like that. We don't make people like take off their watches or eat certain foods or wear certain clothes. But there is a cult of, a cult of the customer, and we are focused on that.
Algunos expertos creen que el enfoque de Bezos en el cliente es solo una táctica que él usa para obviar que su estrategia de negocios tiene fallas.
It's not as if this is the first time someone with a new technology has had a vision. 100 years ago, electricity was the new thing. Thomas Edison did not wire the country before he turned to profit.
Anybody want to bite?
It is simply an act of wishful thinking to say that here, for the first time in the history of capitalism, we have somebody who is bold enough and who has enough vision to build before he has money. It's been tried before, and the result is often an honest bankruptcy.
No hay duda de que el modelo de negocio de Bezos no es del todo seguro. Está gastando dinero en crear una marca que inspire la lealtad del cliente. Pero como señalan los expertos, en el negocio de las ventas al por menor de la red, la competencia aparece con tan solo tocar una tecla.
A large part of his business model rests on the idea of customer loyalty. But what if, in 3 years, we're not loyal? I mean, the one thing the internet makes really, really easy is the ability to comparison shop.
I doubt in this day and age you can buy customer loyalty. If you could buy customer loyalty, it seems Amazon would have many fewer customers. Its new customers presumably were loyal to somebody, a neighborhood bookstore or to Barnes & Noble or somebody before they went to Amazon. So Amazon has, as it were, bribed previously loyal customers, and we are now to believe that somebody else won't come along and bribe them? I doubt it.
Pero a pesar de la voluble naturaleza de los clientes, las ventas de Amazon.com han seguido aumentando. De hecho, Amazon se ubicó entre las compañías comerciales líderes de 1999. Y para el final de ese año, los medios habían empezado a elevar a Bezos a la categoría de superestrella del ciberespacio. Un símbolo para toda la revolución.com.
Named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. That's pretty good. Started Amazon.com, revolutionized the way we shop. Please welcome Jeff Bezos.
Con el éxito de Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos se ha vuelto una celebridad, un adorado de los medios.
Well, congratulations on all this. You look as surprised as anybody.
I am the world's most surprised person, believe me.
Impelido hacia los reflectores, este otrora nerd de las computadoras no solo está listo para la ocasión, sino que parece disfrutarlo.
To do a show like The Tonight Show, it's both fun and a little bit nerve-wracking.
Something else. No, you know what you mean? I mean, or CDs or something.
First couple of minutes of being there is downright terrifying, actually. This is called a daddle saddle. Turns out that the host of a show like that, also they have a special skill of being able to help put people at ease. So usually after the first 30 seconds or minute, I can kind of relax and have a good time.
I think President Clinton bought one of those.
La recién descubierta celebridad de Bezos es algo a lo que su familia aún no se acostumbra.
I think in the beginning too, when Jeff would be in articles that were in the center of a magazine, we could be found at newsstands. I'm not too proud to tell you this, folding back the magazine and putting it back in the rack so that his picture was on, staring at people as they walked by. Right? We were doing our part.
I never did.
Oh, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Please welcome Amazon.com's Jeff Bezos.
See him on television and being interviewed and that sort of thing, and it's it gets a little surreal sometimes. People call me, "Hey, your brother's on TV right now," and I'm like, "Okay." Is that your mother? Let me talk to her. What's your mom's name? Hello?
Incluso en la sede de Amazon.com, a Bezos le gusta ejercitar su imagen de chico normal.
Thanks for letting him work for us. Hey, you guys. You need to use a little more wine or something, though. You don't have any cash? I can loan you. Thank you.
Más como una porrista que un alto ejecutivo, siempre está animado.
All right, well, I'll see you later then. Thanks anyway.
De hecho, su buen humor puede ser casi abrumador.
Can I eat with you guys?
When you travel around with them and see him interact with his employees, it's like he's a rock star. They love him.
Oh, you got it!
That's right. Okay.
He has this incredible enthusiasm and zest for life. And people, I think, work with him because they want to.
We got 7 million square feet of gift wrap.
Because they realize that they're being included in this really fun, great adventure. He's almost like Tom Sawyer. Get the sense that you're going down the Mississippi on a raft, and you're going to have a really, really fun time.
That was awesome!
Hasta ahora, ya sea que esté alardeando en una conferencia de prensa o haciendo payasadas en un picnic de la compañía, Bezos parece estar pasándola de maravilla.
I think he is enjoying himself. He should be. I mean, can you imagine finding yourself one of the richest people in the world, after having just been at work for a couple of years?
A pesar de que su fortuna personal cambia semana a semana, Bezos es, cualquiera sea la estimación, un hombre muy adinerado.
Could he sell his stock at the last sale price? No. It's a highly artificial reckoning of his worth, but he can send his shirts out. I mean, he has solved his personal economic problem, I dare say, for life. So in that sense, he's, why is he smiling? Because he's rich. That's why he's smiling.
Pero de acuerdo con la gente que lo conoce, Bezos no ha cambiado desde que se convirtió en millonario.
I asked him that once. How's it different? And Jeff said, the only way that it's really different is that I no longer look at the price of menu items. And then he laughed. Jeff laughed some more.
Okay, so should we go back?
He told me a long time ago that really within the first 6 months of launching Amazon, he could have retired a millionaire. He had lots of people offering him, I think the first offer was $25 million, and then a few months after that, somebody offered him something like $300 million for the company. He could have sold out, lived the life of a millionaire for the rest of his life. That's not what he's about. He really believes that he wants to make history.
Bezos está camino a construir la mayor tienda del mundo. Pero no está solo. En los últimos años, una serie de otras compañías de ventas al por menor han abierto sus sitios en la red. Así bien, Bezos se adelantó a sus competidores. La carrera para ver quién será el rey del cibercomercio aún no ha terminado.
I try to take one picture a day.
Okay.
To sort of, I'll
there
take
you
a
go.
picture of you guys. There we go.
All right, smile there.
Jeff Bezos toma fotografías en todos los sitios a donde va. Es su manera de capturar los momentos de esta increíble cabalgata en la que se encuentra. En solo 5 años, ha ido de la completa oscuridad a liderar uno de los grandes imperios de minoristas en la historia.
There's so much going on that very rarely do I have time to step back and think about it. Our business grew 90% in 3 months at the end of 1999. That isn't normal. So that kind of growth doesn't leave too much time for, deep reflection.
Para Bezos, quien es tan hiperactivo que no puede decidirse a montarse en un elevador, las cosas no se van a calmar por los momentos. De hecho, a lo sumo, la competencia que Amazon enfrenta en la red se hará más férrea. Una serie de marcas registradas de minoristas se ha mudado a la red, y el hombre al que todas están tratando de derrotar es Bezos.
I think that they're aiming for Amazon because they're shocked that someone's come in out of nowhere and taken their business. And I think that every retailer is saying, who is this Amazon that's putting us all out of business? Barnes & Noble must be going crazy. Like, what the heck happened here? And so I think he's the big red target for everybody. He's got it on his forehead.
Pero para muchos minoristas de ladrillo y argamasa, triunfar en la red no es tan sencillo como abrir un sitio web.
They have to carry a huge amount of inventory that's decentralized all over the country that Bezos doesn't have to worry about. And then you've got pricing problems. Places like Walmart price things differently according to the market. So a hammer that costs $15 on Long Island might cost $12 in Kansas. And there's a whole science to tuning the pricing. So how are you going to price that thing on the internet?
The reality is what Walmart is really good at and what we're really good at are really pretty different things. They're good at managing a store network, managing thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, their associates all around the world and so forth. What we're really good at is we're really good at creating software to make it easy to buy things. And we're really good at customer service, and we're really good at shipping individual packages from anywhere, to wherever you might be. And those turn out to be very different competencies.
Si bien aún es prematuro establecer si Walmart.com ha tenido algún impacto en las ventas de Amazon.com, Bezos afirma que no está preocupado.
The internet is big. It's even bigger probably than most people imagine. And there are going to be lots of winners. It isn't going to be, there's just going to be a few companies that do well online. There are going to be thousands and thousands of winners. So many of these brick and mortar retailers, I think over time, are going to be successful, and I think there's still room for us to be successful too.
Bezos es optimista respecto al futuro de Amazon.com, pero como señalan los analistas, el éxito de la compañía dista mucho de estar asegurado.
Where Amazon.com can stumble is they can have trouble ramping revenue per customer. They could have trouble driving to profitability just based on operating expense issues.
Thank you for calling Amazon.com.
They also need to be very aware of changes in the competitive landscape because the world has awakened to the fact that they have the opportunity to grab a real brass ring, and when that happens, you open up the opportunity for a lot of competitors to really come after you.
Investors are backing away from unprofitable internet companies.
The NASDAQ has hit the hardest. It has now plunged over 23% this week.
Shares of Amazon.com are falling for the third day in a row, putting the company on track for...
Además, como muestra la reciente sacudida de los valores de la Internet, la industria es todavía altamente volátil. Wall Street aún no tiene idea del valor de estas compañías.
People understand that the internet's a very important medium, and they just don't know what it's worth yet. I mean, what would you say the telephone is worth in 1909? So it's hard to say until later. It may not, in fact, be Amazon that lives. It may be some company you've never heard of that's in a garage, you know, down the block from Amazon. You just don't, you have no idea, and that's what's so exciting about the internet space.
En 1994, Jeff Bezos se lanzó a explorar el nuevo mundo feliz de la Internet en una época en que la red era aún una nueva frontera. ¿Fue un nuevo visionario como mucha gente piensa? ¿O solo tuvo la suerte de estar en el lugar preciso en el momento preciso?
I don't think there's very many visionaries in the internet. There's a lot of people that latched on to the gravy train today, especially. But there's not a lot of people who actually came up with an original idea and changed the way people buy and sell things. And I think Jeff's done that.
So this is where we take your...
Jeff Bezos is an evangelist.
Anybody can buy anything from any of our Z-Shop.
This is an age of unprecedented faith in the promise of technology. And he has been able to, shall we say, persuade the investment portion of the public that this is the next great thing. And it could be, but so far it is not.
Whatever happens, he will have played a major role in driving the growth of the internet. And he's helped create a company that, worst case, changed the environment, and best case, and more probable case, will be one of the most successful retailers in history.
A sus 36 años, Jeff Bezos ya ha logrado muchas cosas. Este muchacho que soñaba con explorar nuevas fronteras ha levantado un gran imperio comercial y en el proceso ha contribuido con la revolución de las ventas al por menor. Recientemente su esposa y él tuvieron su primer hijo, un chico llamado Preston, lo que impulsó a algunos a especular sobre si Bezos podría en realidad disminuir su frenético ritmo de vida. Pero de acuerdo con los que lo conocen, este chico millonario sigue siendo tan impetuoso como siempre.
I think he wants to create this historic, perfect business model for the new economy. And at a certain point, he'll declare victory and retire from it, and then devote the rest of his life to even bigger things. He's got very grand plans for philanthropy. And in his typical idiosyncratic way, he's already given a great deal of thought to how he'll do things like, solve world hunger and guarantee no infant mortality.
Don't kill him. Except the cameraman.
I think that when it stops being fun, he'll do something else. As much as it's fun, he's going to do it. And if parts of it don't stay fun, he'll stop doing those parts. I think he's having a really good time.
Hey, howdy.
Howdy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
The biggest motivator for me is other people counting on me.
Hi.
He's the lead here in the game.
So it's actually easier for me to be motivated today than it was when I started Amazon.com, because at that point, really, only me and my parents were counting on me because they'd made an investment in the company.
Hello. Hi.
Today, there are thousands of people counting on me, and that's very, very motivating.
I think he's just working to make this thing last. I think that while it's been an incredible ride so far, I think he would tell you it's just the beginning.